Good afternoon and welcome to the SHEDcast. It is 17th of June and this is SHEDcast 14. And with me today I've got Leo and Charlie.
Afternoon.
G'day. And tucked away in the background we've got JP. He's turned his camera off. There he is. Hey JP. JP is our back-end man, co-producer, moderator. So if you're sending in comments, then JP will be sort of moderating them to filter out any foul language and also punching them up on screen. So to that end, if you've got any comments you want to join us on Facebook or YouTube, you can just add a comment and it'll come up here that we can see it and then we can put it on screen like this. Ta-da! Isn't that groovy? So, a note to Facebook users, however, could you click on the link that's either up above or below or to the side, depending on how Facebook decides today that it's going to format things. Could you click on the link that says streamyard.com/Facebook, that's what it is, streamyard.com/Facebook, and just allow StreamYard, which is the streaming thing that we're using, allow it to see your name and profile picture. And then we know who it's coming from. Otherwise, it just comes in as random person, anonymous on Facebook. And we don't know who it is, which is okay, but it's nice to see who is there. So, there we go. Just like that. We'd like to see who you are. Cool. Now, in all our discussions preparing for this show, I've never yet, Leo and Charlie, established where you are in the country. I normally do a moving map of where a shed is, but you're not shedders in the traditional sense of you're not running a shed. So where on earth are you? Leo, where are you two?
So I'm in the south of Birmingham at the minute, a small place called Kings Norton.
Okay. Sounds like a place with history.
Yeah, we have a few good things going on down here.
Oh yeah? Name a couple.
I've actually recently moved to Kings Norton because previously I was living in Longbridge, which is very close to here, just a stone's throw away. And it actually has a stronger history, which I am probably more well-versed in. So Austin cars, we had a very big car plant here before. And we have a thing called Longbridge Pride every year where people bring all the cars that were made here. You may remember a small car called the Mini Cooper. It was made in these parts. Yeah. So
fantastic.
Yeah, this is the area I live in.
So for all our viewers who are car buffs, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. They'll know about Longbridge. And
yes.
Very cool. Charlie, where are you shouting from?
So I live in a little village called Attenborough, which is it's on the River Trent, and it's about 6 miles to Nottingham, maybe a bit closer than that.
Okay, I'm trying to get my bearings. What I found out last week is that I didn't know where Essex was. That was a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah,
I'd always thought that Essex was south of London, you know, past Wessex and Sussex and all that, and then you get to Essex, but no. So that was a disaster.
I didn't realise Billericay was a real place until I met one of my wife's friends. I thought it was somewhere in Spain or made up in a book.
Yeah, children's TV programme like Balamory.
Yeah. Not that I've ever watched that, but yes, many times.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Which is actually a real place, but it's called Tobermory, and it's in the Isle of Man. Have we got any sheds in the
I don't know
Isle
the
of
story though. I think there is. I think they're everywhere, and Scotland's got a tremendous amount. You know, Scottish Men's Sheds Association. I think they've got over 130. I think I was reading.
That's impressive.
Sheds.
That's great. Good stuff. I like it. Now, I don't think there's any more sort of admin-y, blustery stuff to get to. So, Charlie, if I may, can I boot you out the back door for the time being? We'll be coming back to Charlie, who is going to be talking about ShedFest. How long's ShedFest been running?
I think 2015 was the first one. But I've only been involved in the organisation for 2 years now, so this would be my third this year.
Got you. Okay. So it's a few years running, but of course this year COVID has put the comedy factor in it, and we're trying to do it online.
Yeah. So virtually ShedFest. So possibly good.
Yeah, it could be amazing. The one thing I'm really excited about is the fact that I'll be able to be there. Because, of
Yeah.
course, coming from Little Rock in the Channel, a couple of days trip up into the big land is stupidly expensive. So I can be part of it, which is really exciting.
Yeah, no, and it's, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, but one of the things we've learned from lockdown is how we can connect to people much better, as I think all sheds have. And just because this one will be virtual doesn't mean the others that will be physical, hopefully in the future, can't also be virtual as well.
Yeah, hybridize the whole thing. Yeah.
So I'll go and have a look at the back doorstep, shall I?
Yeah, right you are.
Okay.
Thanks, Charlie. See you in a mo. So that leaves myself and Leo, and I've got a thing I haven't put up, the branding. We should do that. Yeah, Men's Shed in Guernsey, because I'm in Guernsey. You ever been to Guernsey, Leo?
I always get Guernsey confused with Jersey for some reason. So I've either been to Jersey or Guernsey, one of the two.
Now, how do I kick you off the stream? How do I remove you? Thin ice, buddy, thin ice.
This is payback for making fun of my Rona beard.
No, I didn't make fun of it. I said it was a fine effort, and maybe when you're older you could get a proper one.
Yeah, if anyone's watching, this is the best I can do. So there you go.
It's distinguished. It's got understated class to it. I like that.
I see you digging yourself out of that hole there.
Trying.
But I'll take distinguished. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's all you're going to get, I suppose. Take it. Now, Leo, you are... Oh, you suddenly went dim on me then. No offense.
All right, might be my cup. All right.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, what are you drinking from today?
I'm drinking from a little mug that was crafted by my wife's own fair hands.
Oh, that's a thing.
So she's a bit of a potter, and
Nice.
so that's what we're drinking out of from today.
Well, I'm trying to play catch up with you in that I'm using a handmade mug, but I've no idea who made it. There's nothing on the bottom.
It's not as cool if you don't know who made it.
No,
I love the
totally
glazing
agree.
though. The
But
glazing is
yeah,
great.
It is a nice job. So yeah, quite pleased with this mug.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Handcrafted when you know the crafter. Champion.
It's like getting the signature on the book, isn't it? Yeah.
It is quite special, yeah. But actually, pottery is something we're hoping to do at some point in the Guernsey shed.
Right.
It was something that was never on our sort of wish list until a couple of years ago when we were starting to set things up. And in a space of, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, I had at least half a dozen requests for, are you going to be doing pottery? Are you going to get a wheel? Are you going to get a kiln? At which point the answer was no, yeah, maybe. Because it's one of these things that, well, Men's Shed in Guernsey is partnered with Makerspace, and the ethos behind Makerspace is having access to tools which you otherwise couldn't afford, couldn't justify, or have nowhere to put. And massive kilns are expensive and massive and expensive and
storage,
crazy.
Yeah.
And potter's wheels and stuff are much the same. Who's got space to put a potter's wheel in the lounge?
Yeah.
So yeah, quite likely at some point we'll get you and your wife over, and then she can pot.
Yeah,
to her
plan our
heart's
next little holiday visit to Guernsey. I think as soon as this lockdown relaxes a bit more.
Oh, rock on! Yeah, once we open our borders, we're moving to phase 5. As I've said before, I don't know how the phasing differs between UK and Guernsey and other countries, but it effectively means it's all back to normal, apart from our borders are quite strictly controlled. So, there we go. Now, Leo, what do you do? I understand it's digital communications, but my understanding of digital communications was when you stick 2 fingers up at somebody. Is that what you do?
So I hope you don't mind. I've taken the liberty of writing a few things down so I don't waft off and become too talkative.
It's okay, Leo. It's okay.
Yes.
We do wafting.
Right. So yes. I am the digital communications officer of the UK Men's Shed Association. I work remotely from Birmingham, so most of my work is done usually from behind a computer. When there wasn't a lockdown, there was a lot more visiting of sheds. I joined the UK Men's Sheds Association last October, so I haven't been here a full year yet, but enjoying my time. My role is funded by the Dalverton Trust, And
Okay.
my role is concerned with raising the profile of men's sheds across the UK and keeping shedders up to date on the resources available to them from the UK Men's Sheds Association. So I'm the person responsible for managing the website, the newsletters, the social media channels, and the digital content that we put out. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think that's how I describe my role. Yeah.
So is that full time for you?
Yes, yes.
Wow. So there's it's pretty busy then.
It is a very busy job. I love it. There's so much variety in it. So my background is I'm a journalist. I've been a journalist. I've been a background in media management and graphic design, and a lot of what we do is partnership work. We're an advisory. We advise sheds on what to do. We help them with things. So what I love about it most is probably the partnerships. So at the moment, we're partnering with the Men's Health Forum.
Okay.
You may be aware that it's Men's Health Week this week, and it's Loneliness Awareness Week as well. So we're partnering with the Men's Health Forum just to promote things sheds and others can do during this time, and also just to remove the stigma around men asking for help. So a lot of what we do is just really trying to help sheds and men with mental health, well-being, social prescribing, anything that involves that. We tend to have a partnership. Organizations that we work with, as part of my job, is to work with people from other organizations to help sheds and men, basically.
Gosh, very interesting. You talk about resources available to sheds. That's obviously something that people are going to ask as they're setting up a shed. What is this UK Men's Shed Association thing? And what will it do for me?
Right.
Which is a reasonable thing to ask. But I know that in the back end of the Men's Shed website, and in fact I've got that, I can add it up in case you don't know, not you, but someone else, men'ssheds.org.uk. Once you're signed up as a member shed, there's all sorts of resources. What sort of things can you tell us about there?
Right. So we have a lot of different things that we do to help people who before they become sheds and after they become sheds. So the way that I look at things is pre-shed. So there are a lot of men out there who probably are retired perhaps and are a bit isolated since leaving work. Often people retire and go off and think, oh, I'm going to work on this project. And they'll find that the project they thought would last years might take them a few months to achieve. And then it's sort of like, where do I go now? What do I do? And isolation can set in. Sometimes men are just, because we're men, we'll never, sort of cry out to say I'm lonely or a bit isolated. Most of us are too proud to do that. So pre-shed, some of the things that we do is we're constantly on social and in other places, just letting people know that we're here to connect you to places as a man that you can go to, where you will fit in, you can belong, you can find purpose, you can be useful to your community, and you can get out from under your wife's feet as well. So that's pre-shed. So we do a lot of work around letting people know that sheds exist and sheds are for them. And it's not a thing about, there's no stigma around becoming a part of a men's shed. You'll find a lot of friends there, and it can really change your life. So that's the first part of it. Then we've got people who've joined sheds. So as people are trying to come into sheds, some people join as individuals. Some people in the areas don't have sheds, and we help people to get sheds started. So some of the resources you'll find on our website will be to do with helping you to start a men's shed. If you don't have one in your area, we can help you get set up as a charity. You may already be a shed, but you're not registered as a charity. But if you want all those benefits, we can help you with that process and make it a lot more streamlined and a lot more straightforward, so it's not a struggle. And then there's post-shed. Yeah. And once you're part of the system, you're a registered shed, you're a member with UKMSA, then there's all sorts of benefits. So it could be discounts with equipment. A lot of sheds need equipment, and we've got partnerships with Axminster and Ronseal and Triton and others, and we can get you discounts on equipment. At the moment, we're dealing with returning to sheds. A lot of sheds will be unlocking, and folks may not know how to manage that scenario. So if you went on our website today and went on our news section, or just on the web page at the very top of the page, we've got guidance of what you can do as a shed that's opening up. So we're constantly iterating and putting new information out, depending on where you are in pre-shed, sheds, post-sheds. Yeah.
So that's just picking up on the discounts, because that will tickle some people. Axminster, Triton Tools, and what was the other one? It was the Does what it says on the tin. Ron Seal.
Ron Seal.
Advertising works on me, I'm telling you.
So yes, and it's beyond that as well. So beside the partnerships, we have other partnerships with people that we often try to put people in touch with places they can get funding for their sheds as well. So we research a lot to find out what pots of money are available for sheds. So anytime you need something, if you go on the newsletters that we put out, we often put out fundraising information. A lot of my job is designing things and putting out posts, but a lot of it is the core of it actually is to do with listening to shedders and sheds and trying to respond to their needs. So for example, we put out a poll on our Facebook group, and shedders will say to them, what is it that you need the most in this time? And shedders will tell us, well, we need money, we need funding. So we'll go out and do the research, and we'll start funneling through funding opportunities for them. Some people will say, well, I feel isolated and I wish I could hear what other sheds are saying or speak to other sheds. Hence, we'll have the Facebook group. And so now other shedders can mingle and mix and share ideas with other sheds. Depending on what sheds are crying out for, we'll do the research and make sure that we pass on any information that we can, and any partnerships we have, we'll try to bend them towards helping men's sheds.
That's brilliant. Thank you. You're one of the unsung heroes in the background, making all these connections.
There's no I in team, so I wouldn't like to sit here and we're not a large team. We're a very small team, actually. I think we have 3.5 staff, but I'd like to believe that we punch above our weight. Yeah.
That's cool.
So who you don't have on here is we've got a lovely lady called Kate Gordon, and a lot of the men's shed ambassadors will know her. And she goes up and down the country helping sheds and our ambassadors through our ambassadors. And we've got a lovely lad called John Petrie, and he's probably the person people speak to when they ring us up on the phones. And previously it was a lady called Laura Winkley. And again, that's the person that you'll speak to. And then we've got my boss, Charlie, who you just met, the chief officer, and myself. So we're a very small team, but we try to work as hard as we can to service the UK.
That's really cool. Last week we were talking to the Essex Shed Network,
Right.
Matt from there, and how they're developing a local area sort of men's shed association. That's not quite what's happening, but you know what I mean. There's a network of sheds, and the benefits I could see there, having met Kate as National Shed Development Manager, then meeting Matt in a regional way. What I could see was brilliant was that he could access local things that Kate would struggle to get around the entire country and connect to. So both funding opportunities, events, local government. But you could see how her role was connecting things at a nationwide level.
Right.
As you are sort of lobbying and making those national connections.
I think that's really a very, very good way of putting it, actually, that we do make a lot of connections. So often there's a lot of great work happening, and sometimes what's missing is the connection to all the different things, so connection to information. So anything that we get from the shed community, that can be fed back into the community as well. So if one shed knows something, we're able to get that information and disseminate that. And I think that's how we work. We're mostly volunteer run in the sense, because we have such a small staff team. Most of the work we do through volunteers. So through the volunteer ambassadors work that Kate does, and other things that the trustees are very hands-on. It's everybody pitches in. There's no sort of one person doing it all.
That's brilliant. I like it a lot. Something you mentioned in terms of resources for members on the website, the Men's Shed website, was about setting up a shed as a charity, a registered charity.
Yes.
And through the Facebook page, the Men's Shed Facebook page, I've heard quite a few discussions there where people are saying, has anybody else gone through to charity status? Was it worth the effort? There's a lot of paperwork. Now, we've done that in Guernsey, but obviously we fit within our local framework for setting up a registered charity. But having that shared resource, I could see is a big benefit to all the UK sheds, because it seems to be quite a hoop jumping exercise and a minefield at the same time.
So yes, if any sheds are out there struggling to become a registered charity, definitely give us a tinkle, and John will probably be the person that you will speak to, and he's able to guide you through what resources we have, and he's someone you can call on if you are struggling, and the process can be made so much simpler because we've dealt with a lot of people who've had to go through that process. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just give us a buzz and someone will be there to help you with that process.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Obviously, in our Guernsey setting, it's a different setup, but a couple of our guys had not long gone through setting up charities. So actually getting the shed through that was, okay, you need this, this and this, and you don't need that. And that just made life a lot easier. Otherwise, you start reading documents of what the potential hoops are, and you get swamped by all the hoops when actually some of them don't apply to you.
Right.
So yes, if there's any sheds out there who are thinking about getting themselves registered as a charity, it's well worth a call to the Men's Shed Association office. Probably the best way to find that information would be to go to the website Men's Sheds.
UK Men's Sheds Association. Yes, but the website is mensheds.org.uk.
Perfecto. Thanks, Leo. That's very cool. Let me just try to think. What are the benefits of becoming a registered charity at a local level, shed by shed? What are the benefits there?
Right. So I think I'm going to leave some of this for Charlie.
Okay.
Most of what I try to involve myself in doing is, so I'm not there's a lot of resources that sheds will have access to. I don't deal as much with the ins and outs of what the sheds will benefit from. There are benefits which I could reel off, but I think it's going to be nice for Charlie to expound on that. But what I will say is that in terms of what I do, the work that I do is really trying to connect you to our membership support officer so that he can walk you through what those benefits are. I think part of it is, when you become a member with us, there's a bunch of things that you get just for signing up with us as a membership. In terms of benefits of a charity, that depends on each shed, whether they think that's going to be useful to them. But it's always great in terms of membership with UK Men's Sheds. I think it helps with a bit of more clout for your shed if you are associated with the UK Men's Shed Association, because we have a lot more reach. So sometimes being able to invoke the fact that you're a member with UK Men's Shed Society Association can really be useful for you at a local level, because we're quite well known and we're a voice for sheds. So we're constantly shouting about what sheds are doing. I can speak on that much, but I think I'm going to leave for Charlie extra benefits. And
Sheds with benefits, that's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
I think it might be.
And what does all this cost? I mean, obviously, we're probably talking thousands per year to be a member of this amazing organisation, aren't we?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's something like £24. No. That's as much as it costs. And but again, I wish that you had, because I think what would be a good idea in terms of like all the membership benefits. A really great person to talk to would be John Petrie, who is our membership support officer. Okay. So my role deals very little with interfacing one-on-one with the membership. So while we have resources on our website, they're produced by, we have a resources committee. They produce the resources, and this committee is made up of, again, volunteers, but people who are actually shedders. Yeah. So all the sort of needs that shedders have. I recently joined a Men's Sheds myself. And I joined at the back end of last year. So probably in December, I joined a Men's Shed. And so even to some extent, my full understanding of sheds, having not managed to visit them all, there's a limit to what I can say. But the guys who run our resources group, they're all shedders, true and true. They've been shedders for years. You'll see many of them on our Facebook group. And it's my job to connect you with those people. And once you get on there, their wealth of knowledge. So the way we educate shedders is through our ambassadors. We've got some really knowledgeable trustees, obviously our membership support officer. And those are the people that it's my job to hopefully get you to know about and connect you to those people. And they can walk you through every single stage of, some of the people at the moment will be struggling with spaces. Where do we don't have a space. Yeah. How do I begin? Where do we go? So Charlie will be working on creating partnerships with people in real estate, and some people will be struggling with insurance. What do we do? Some people are saying, what do we do about COVID? And my job is really, once the UKMSA have created a resource, or once we've made a partnership with someone who can help, my job is then to make sure everybody becomes aware of that. But I wouldn't be your best source for, hey, my shed's roof is falling in. Leo, what do you think? I'd say, hey, speak to one of our ambassadors, speak to Kate. Here's John. So I hope that kind of makes sense.
No,
yeah,
that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
But I do have to say, just on a side note, Sheds has been amazing for me. I've only been a member of an actual shed. Mine is King's Heath and Moseley, which is in South Birmingham. And I will say, as someone who never knew about sheds before I started working for men's sheds, I had no history of being practical at all. So cut back to my years in high school. Back in my day, we did metalwork and woodwork at school. I don't know if schools still do that. And I had an examination in my second year of high school, and we had to create a block of wood. All we had to do was plane a block of wood and turn it into something, I can't remember what. And it was one piece you got. And if you messed that up, that was the end of your exam. So as you can imagine, I went in there and started planing away and doing all sorts. And just before we got to the halfway point, I broke my piece of wood. And because it was woodwork, there's no gluing it back together. There's no nailing it back together. The piece was essentially broken. And ever since then, which is some 30 odd years ago, I just never had the confidence to pick up any tools or do anything practical again. I just believed that it wasn't for me and I just wasn't handy enough.
That's correct.
And now in 2019, I've been to my local shed, and within a month, I had made something for Christmas for my wife. I went there. It wasn't hard to be accepted. The people were super welcoming. I was able to say to them, look, I have had bad experiences with making. I'm not great at this. There was no sarcasm, no laughing. They embraced me. And a month later, I'm presenting my wife with something that I've made with my own hands, and she's super impressed. And that's the power of sheds. Super accepting. You can start at any level. Some guys don't even make anything at these sheds. Some guys just go for the banter. Yeah. And I know that it's also very life-changing. So I think that's one of the things that I find super amazing about sheds is they're very life-changing, if I can dare to say that. You know, the stories that I find on social media and elsewhere that we hear of people who were depressed and were on the brink of destruction coming back from that due to men's sheds, or people that were isolated, or people that had breakages in their relationships with their spouses, and people who were waspish and snappy. But what sheds has managed to do for them, you know, we're all about social prescription. It's not sport. You don't have to be good at playing sport. You don't have to be an incredible maker, but you're going to be embraced. And there's a shed size to fit you. You know, there'll be people like you somewhere in these sheds. And we have a popular saying that we have that sheds aren't everything for everyone, but they have something for everyone. And so that's what sheds has done for me in such a short space of time. And it does a lot more for men. And I think that's what inspires me to be part of this movement. And while I don't know everything about all the sheds and I'm learning daily, I'm so passionate about shouting about what sheds do for people.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Leo. I really appreciate what you're saying there. And I'm sure there's shedders up and down the country who will that entirely resonates with. A couple of I don't know how many shows ago now, but we had a shed where they were saying we get guys who come in and play dominoes.
Right.
And they don't shed in the traditional we're making stuff sense, but they turn up, they drink tea, there's banter, and they play dominoes furiously. And that's brilliant. It's all part of it. In a way, Charlie's putting a private message in the background. Oh dear. So suggestible. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks in the background there. Thanks. I'm going to add Charlie into the stream just to call him out.
Sorry.
Charlie. You'd posted up a private comment in the background there saying, just tried one. And while I was processing that, all I could say was Charlie. So sorry about that. Thank you, Leo. I know you're pressed for time.
Brilliant, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your input. And I hope other shedders will now have a clearer picture of obviously who you are and what you do and how the organisation functions and what it's for. Because I might be wrong, I might be misplaced, but having a handle on what this Men's Shed Association is, I think is really important, but often lacking. Now, I'm sure some people know it all backwards, but I certainly don't. So I really appreciate that. Charlie, good to have you back with us.
Thank you for having me back after my comments.
Managed to entertain yourself in the background there.
Yeah, no, I was listening to Leo's enthusiasm.
Oh, we've lost Leo already. Look,
I'm still here. Just let me know when I'm. I might just defer to my chief officer here to see when it's appropriate to slide off into the sunset.
Charlie, is there anything you want to add to what Leo's brought to us?
No, and I think what sheds really show is the enthusiasm that Leo is then showing. It is something to get enthusiastic about, whether it's making something, talking to other people, having that cup of tea. The shed is, it's humbling with the level of enthusiasm in them and the companionship and the sharing. My career before coming to sheds was in sport, and I'm still involved at an international level. And you never see that level of sharing in sport. Everyone is so competitive in so many areas. It spills over from the court or the pitch, and sheds are just so sharing and cooperative with each other. Yeah. It's amazing.
That's an interesting perspective. What's your sporting background then, if I can ask?
Playing, not very much. I enjoy
Dominoes.
Sport, but wasn't good. My granddad taught me how to cheat at dominoes. So I have a fond. My daughter's now doing it without me showing her. Keep your finger on the 666. But she turns them over to find out where it is. So, and I get the 6 and 3, so I can do better. No, so I worked in wheelchair basketball and wheelchair sport now for over 23 years. So I'm still on the world board for wheelchair basketball, where my portfolio is competition. I'm chairman of competition, so Paralympics, Commonwealth Games, World Championships. Awesome. But basketball wasn't a sport for me because it's allegedly non-contact. So I was more hockey, rugby, at low level, so where you hurt yourself more because it's
excellent.
Yeah, because you're not
Sports
good at
with
it.
a grunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and an ouch.
Alrighty, let's say goodbye to Leo. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your input.
Thank you for being gentle, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Well, in this sheddy thing, we are trying to be open. The point is about supporting each other, and that extends both ways. So thank you, Leo, and we'll pop Leo out. Now, should we play a video to set the scene, or should we go for a tea and wee?
Depends what kind of video it is.
I was thinking a Jean-Claude Van Damme effort. What do you reckon?
Yeah, if it's the Coors Light, but yes.
My computer is playing hop skippies at the moment, so I've got to be a little bit cautious. Because I've had this before, you get to sort of like halfway through the show and the laptop freezes, so I've got to be a bit careful. What do you fancy, tea or wee or a video? We'll open up a poll if you want to add a comment online. Now, you were commenting about comments, weren't you? That's why you so rudely interrupted my chain of consciousness. If I'm gonna open up the phone and I'm gonna and it's gonna tell me that I can't see where, because we want to check that comments are working. So I'm going to go to groups and Men's Shed Guernsey, and here's our doodly, and I'm going to add a comment. Check that comments are working. Oh, and now it's all rattling back to me. That's kind of weird. So hello me. There we go. Post that in, and let's. Oh, look at that. Marcel says hello me. Right, I can get rid of that. Okay, so it is working. So if anybody out there in Great Viewer Land, YouTube and Facebook, do please add any comments. If you've got any questions, or if you've got any comments, or even just say hello from Norfolk, we'd love to hear from you and know where you're calling from. Now, we've got a couple of videos. Let's slip in one of these videos and then go for a tea and weave. So we'll reconvene after this video. This is from ShedFest 2018, I believe. And there's this strangely besuited fellow presenting it, Charlie, which caught me out, because you seem to be in a very casual shirt wearing, got that rough look about you. You look like you could be a lumberjack. I don't mean that to be rude in any way at all. And then there's this very sharp-looking besuited fellow. Who is that? Is he your twin brother?
That's my twin. That's a pre-lockdown haircut as well.
Okay.
It's one of my things that I'm missing.
So this is about ShedFest. For those who don't know what ShedFest is, what's the headline, Charlie? What is ShedFest?
ShedFest is basically a gathering of shedders and an opportunity for shedders to come together. A number of seminars take place in the different topics that sheds have asked about. And it's also a way of meeting some of the partners and different suppliers. So Axminster there, Ronseal, Triton, along with companies that do 3D printing, some of our partners like Welshman Sheds. So yeah, it's just really a gathering. And last year we had over 300 people, 220 in 2018. So it's just somewhere to, I suppose, to have a cup of tea and talk to each other.
Brilliant. Well, let's take a look at that, and then we'll see you back in a couple of minutes.
Cool.
Men's sheds basically where 3 or more people come together and make stuff, fix stuff, do stuff. Mainly in sheds, and most of it is woodwork, although we have metal workers, we have people that just do board games, and we have people that do all sorts of pottery and other types of craft. And it's about people coming together, making new friendships and having fun.
The idea is that men come together and learn skills together and get to use hand tools, but really it seems like it's very much about friendship and companionship and just enjoying each other's company.
The camaraderie, just being together. For our shed itself, it's not the part of where we're actually standing and making things and doing things for the local community. It's that hour and a half that we have when we sit down in our break room and have a cup of tea and a chat and a bacon roll. That is the men's shed.
I can smell the woodwork behind me. That's the smell of the men's shed. It's woodwork. It's not just about making nests, it's about making other things. It's about making music, perhaps it's about making art, perhaps making cakes.
The biggest impact that we found in our survey is that there's a 96% reduction in loneliness from those that thought they were lonely or said they were lonely to before they joined a shed to after when they joined a shed. But the shedders would say it's about friendships, it's about being together, positively helping people in the community and making stuff. And it's fun. The happiness level goes up, their enjoyment level goes up, and they all say they make new friends.
The joy of just spending time together, solving problems and helping each other. And it's great.
When my wife unfortunately had to go into residential care, I was left alone in a big house and not knowing anyone around me. And around that time, there was a little flyer went up in the town saying, anybody interested in the men's shed? So I went along to see what it was about, and it's great to see how it's turned people around. And it's difficult to judge for yourself, but I can certainly see some of the other guys. They're different guys for coming along, and that's great.
We've had people say that it's saved their life, it's saved their marriage. So there's some really deep and fundamental things that shedders experience. It's not just shedders that get benefit from sheds. So we have some wonderful letters from kids, school kids that we work with, that they say thank you so much to the shedders for working with us on these bird boxes or jigsaws or whatever else it might be. And then I show this to the shedders, and the shedders say, no, we should write to the kids and say thank you for working with us on this kind of stuff, because we get a lot of value from it as well.
So ShedFest is where we've had 250 shedders come together to talk about what they make, to talk about what they do, talk about their challenges. We've run a number of forums and workshops for them to engage in about fundraising or about succession planning or about products that they're making to help them. And then we run an exhibition as well We're in the exhibition hall at the moment, and they've been doing wood carving, pole lathe turning, all sorts of things, and talking to charities such as prostate cancer.
Whilst each of the shed is completely independent, there's a lot of value in shedders coming together as one big unit for the day, and it also helps stimulate lots of ideas. So they go away hopefully back feeling very excited about what potential new things they can do within their shed and ideas to overcome some of their challenges.
It's good to meet people who are doing what you're doing, and it's quite nice to be able to talk to them and get their feel on the way we're doing things.
It's always fantastic to meet with other sheds, and everyone's chatting, and that's what I find the most useful.
I think it's good that there is an opportunity to celebrate and share.
I've had such a wonderful time. I've learnt such a lot, and I'm sure that the organisation's got a lot to not only offer me, but to offer my shed.
There's over 600 sheds either in development or open, and there will be a local shed, and if there isn't, call us and we'll help you make one.
UK Men's Shed Association should only exist to support the network of sheds in being the best sheds that they can. And so the idea by having this national conference means that we can create those discussions and start really understanding how UK MSA can really help the shed movement be the best that it can.
Alrighty, that was ShedFest 2018. Got Charlie in the background. While that video was on, brilliant video. Both Charlie and I fell off the whole internet stream thing. It's all exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mine was idiot error. I pressed the wrong button.
Pebcac. You come across Pebcac?
No, I haven't.
Problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Yeah, that would be fair. Yeah, most of the time actually.
It's all okay. We're back, and we had JP in the background on standby, ready to take over at a moment's notice. So it was all okay. What a brilliant video! I'd not seen it before this morning when I found it, and I'm really glad that I've been able to share that with everybody because it sets the scene, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and hopefully it shows how busy it was and how much energy people had as well. It's a tremendous event. I mean, it's humbling. You listen to the stories of the different shedders, and I suppose the only difficulty we have is trying to feed everybody because of the queue. They see a cup of tea, they join the queue.
Yeah.
Somebody's drinking a cup of tea, people queue up behind them. It's So there's a theme.
Fantastic. Alrighty, let's take a short 5-minute break. Recharge your mug and go and ease springs. So we'll go PKO, put kettle on. What does your mug say? Actually, that's a good point. We haven't checked out your mug. We checked out Leo's mug, but we didn't check out yours.
I'm sophisticated. It's Royal Shakespeare Company. So.
We'll take your word for it. What's the reference there?
It's Matilda. It's
Matilda, Roald Dahl. Okay, right.
Yeah. So it's the Tim Minchin version. We went to see my wife and I a few years ago, and I just couldn't resist the mug. So whenever I used to have meetings with national and the NSPCC or other groups, out would come the mug. Surprisingly, didn't go down very well, but I'm not quite sure.
You bad man. That is wicked. Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, let's take tea and we'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Ciao.
See you then. Bye.
Alrighty, welcome back. Just me and Charlie.
And no comments.
No, isn't that strange? We had this last week that nobody was commenting. And we tested it, it does work. I haven't tested it on YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, I can tell. No one's watching on YouTube, but we've got a few guys watching it on Facebook. So, hello, Facebook people. If you want to add a comment, please do. Even if it's just to say hello from Dingbat Burton or wherever you are. So, you've replenished. Are you drinking tea or coffee there, Charlie?
Tea, Lapsang Susong.
Say that
Posh.
after a couple of points.
Yeah. It's I went to it was a tea shop once, and I read the descriptor which said tones of Scotch, malt Scotch. So ever since I've been
in the same way that ShedFest 2018 video, the name there's a lady speaking on there called Lois, I think it was, from the Isle of Wight, was it?
Yeah.
She had me at cake. Yeah, okay, so hi Lois, lemon drizzle, please, if you're taking orders. Why not? And have you got anything nibbly? Just, I have to ask, because I've got nibbly.
No, I have no nibbly.
And I normally do OT biscuits, but actually I've just felt the need for cheese and biscuits now, so... Don't mind me, you just carry on. So, Charlie, who are you? Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned biscuits. JP's come raiding my biscuits now. Big mistake. So, Charlie, who are you? And what do you do? Yeah.
So, my role, my title is Chief Officer. But we are, as Leo mentioned, 3.5 staff. I'm a half a staff. So I work 3 days a week. So slightly more than half, but I can't work out fractions. So, as you'd see if you saw any of my joinery.
So you don't work in Imperial then?
I do on some fractions. No, you should see my joinery. I do. But no, my role is principally supporting the staff, being a spokesman for the organisation, raising income, and building partnerships. However, there's a lot more to it. It's also writing the strategy for the board, taking direction, gathering the insight from shedders and helping that make a very informed strategy. Very long document, but I like strategies because it's very similar to making a project, because you design it, you design the strategy, you think of the flow, and everything needs to join up, and that's my geekiness. So that's my work. I could do with more, working more days, but I don't think that would make any difference. It's like a cup. It just keeps on being filled with time. And I do more than the 3 days, in fairness. But so it's that, working with partners. ShedFest, so I take a lead on that. I take a point on that. A lot of my background is events, so I enjoy that side. And again, it's that creating piece. But I'm also responsible for the development of the policies, which are necessary, not so exciting to produce. But again, they're not for the sake of having policies. They're there to try and help shape the organisation and keep us on the straight and narrow.
Sure.
And responsive to sheds, that's what we have to be. But as Leo alluded to earlier, it was something for everyone. We can't be everything for everyone, because if we were, we might as well be Guernsey Shed or Amersham Shed or Dalbeattie Shed.
Sure, so. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being Dalbeattie Shed per se.
Well, it's
Skiok car.
Yes, they have, and they've got a lot of space, but yeah, and a beautiful part of the world.
And how?
But last time I was there, I caught man flu, so.
Ooh, that's no good.
I won't hold it against him. I just won't forget it.
Fair enough. Yeah, cool. Now, tell us about ShedFest. Where's it happening this year?
It's happening in your front room, my front room, everybody's front room. So it's virtual. So we had booked it for Worcester again. Worcester is surprisingly central for a lot of places. And we have also and this may still happen, although possibly unlikely. But we also have a satellite that was going to happen at the Harrogate Woodworking Show this year, further north in North Yorkshire. But it's not going to work, so we've all gone online. And so we broadcast from all over. The nearest to Worcester will probably be Peter Sefton, who has his own furniture making teaching college, and the Peter Sefton, School of Furniture. It will be with Chris Fisher. It will be all over. From Guernsey to Aberdeen.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and maybe Australia as well. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. We had Len Thompson from the Gold Coast, Australia, on a few weeks back, which was a bit exciting, and we must do that again, because obviously that's where shedding started, and they've got a bit more, under the table than we have, so it's good to draw from them.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of learning as they're now opening up and open. Although the competitive nature within me from that sports side, there was a charity called the Sons of Man in the 1960s, which was very similar to Sheds, which was a English-British thing. So it was in the West Midlands. That's my competitive nature. And then, like cricket, we gave it away and keep losing at it. So it's
enough said. Yeah, we're good innovators.
Yeah.
We're getting a comment in. We got Media UK MSA. Hi from UK Men's Shed. Well, hello. I'm guessing that might be Leo. Do you think?
Hi Leo.
Hello again. So we just saw a whole raft of stuff from ShedFest 2018. It sort of looks like it's a trade fair. Lots of people doing lots of different things, pole lathes to technology, and as you said, some of your trade partners, Ronseal, Triton Tools, and the one I've forgotten, Axminster, thank you, are going to have a presence. How's that going to happen going virtual?
Yeah, so virtually what we've tried to do is keep themes along the lines of, so it services shed leaders, it services shedders, and it services the wider community as well. It does give us an opportunity for that. So there will be, for instance, a session with Ronseal, which will be around DIY courses that they're developing to try and support sheds to then deliver DIY courses as a source of income generation, but also connectivity to the community. And then we're also looking to do sessions in an evening, which will be more talk shops, where shedders can come together and talk about sculpture and carving. Another one on creating musical instruments, whether that's banjos or guitars or flutes potentially. So we're trying to have some little work groups together as well. We just don't know how successful that will be because it's untried, it's untested. And then there will be other sessions that are discussion groups where we'll bring together 5 or 6 people, have a presentation around potentially unlocking the shed, and then people talking about how that might work in their countries, whether it's Scotland or Ireland or Wales, England. You're already ahead of the curve. We're on DEFCON 4, but we go down as opposed to going up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but we'll have that interaction, and hopefully we will be using StreamYard, thanks to you and your support and StreamYard when we buy it. And then at discounted rates if they're listening. This isn't Facebook though, is it? But allegedly. Yeah, so we're going to try and get that interaction as much as possible. And encourage people to talk to those that aren't online, and if they can't access YouTube, to try and get them and record them so they can be played back to shedders at a later date as well.
Yeah. Obviously, with this StreamYard thing, the technology we're using to do this, it goes out on Facebook and YouTube, but it remains there once we've finished. So at any point in the future, like you say, you could take it along to somebody, Maybe if you've got a Wi-Fi, a wireless connection with your phone or something, and somebody can watch it, even though they haven't got a computer or anything like that. So that's kind of cool. That is a massive challenge, but I think, having been in the discussion with you and Leo and so on, in the last few days and week, it's shaping up into something that could be really rather cool.
Yeah,
And
and one
engage
thing,
a lot more people, I think, because how many shedders are we engaging in sheds each week? 15,000 plus?
yeah,
Something like that. Whereas
Yeah,
obviously the people who can actually come to the ShedFest is in the low hundreds, because I know from my geolocation it's difficult and expensive to get to Worcester for a few days. But if we can do it online, then that's great. It means much more accessible.
yeah, and it might create new audiences as well, and bring more people to the shed movement. They might come across it on your stream or my stream or any one of our shedders' streams if they share it, and then discover men's sheds for the first time. We're not that household name yet, but we need to be, because sheds do such a fantastic job. And what is also different this time is, instead of running it over one day, we're able to run it in smaller bite-sized chunks, but over 3 days. So hopefully, again, people can, as they do online, is take what they want, the snippets that they want, and it will work around their personal lives a little bit more as well.
Cool.
Because again, you can be busy doing nothing, and it's the number of people that listen to the radio show that Patrick from Froomshed created, with us, or for us, because he did it very well on his own. A lot of people didn't listen to it live, but they were able to listen to it later on.
Yeah, that's really handy. I must admit, there's lots of times when I've missed most of it, and come back in the evening and stuck it on, and yeah, it's great. Radio is brilliant for that, because it can be very backgroundy, can't it? But you're still able to listen while you're doing something. Yeah. Whereas something like this kind of it's visual and you've got to watch it. But anyway, so when is it? I've got a title. I hope I've got the details right.
So
there we go.
Yeah. So 7, 8, 9 of July. Thank you. And 10 till 1, 10 till 2. It will vary very slightly on different days.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there'll be the evening sessions, which will be 7 till 8.
7 till 8 p.m. as well. Okay.
And hopefully, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if you're with your grandchildren on the Wednesday, you'll be able to pick it up on one of the other days. If you're lucky enough to, one, have grandchildren, and two, be able to pop out, and escape the house. And
well, better off just organise it now that you haven't got to have the grandchildren at all.
Yeah, because listening to us is going to be much more exciting. Probably better for your heart.
Yeah, that's true. So, you've mentioned a few things that are coming up. What is coming up? Who is going to be presenting and sharing at this year's ShedFest?
Yeah, so we've designed it around the requirements that have been asked to us by sheds. So there'll be a session on unlocking the shed, and then there'll be a session about re-engaging with your community. And that's about getting your shed well known again. It might be that your shed's not well known in the community anyway, because it's new or it's not something you've tried to do. And also then looking at how you might be able to identify funding in your community, because there will have been a substantial gap of operations, and it might be different things you need to look at. So we've got a panel together for both of those.
Great.
We're running a session on leadership, and the changing face of leadership in the shed. What you have at the beginning might be very different to when the shed's up and running. And so we're looking at that, and that will create a discussion group. There's a session on different crafts, so craft sculpting, on metalwork, hopefully, as well as musical instruments. And then we're also running a DIY session, a session on easy fundraising, and there'll be one Tales from Wales. So talking about Welsh sheds and and how they may differ, and or how they are very similar, and what's going on in Wales as well. And we hope to expand that a little bit more. There's a bit more space in the programme to put some more things on there. So hopefully it's interesting. And then we've got 2 guest speakers, although they're all guest speakers and they're all fantastic, clearly. But two celebs within the woodworking world, one of which is Peter Sefton that I mentioned earlier, and the other is our patron, Chris Fisher, or the blind wood turner.
Brilliant.
As, you may know him. So he's a truly inspirational guy. He came to ShedFest last year. We had Paul Sellers last year as the keynote for the ShedFest, but at the dinner in the evening, which we had 69 people at, which was fantastic. We did Chris spoke at that, and he's going to do the opening address at ShedFest this year. And he really is somebody to listen to, and he relates everything back to the shed, but his own life experience of when he became blind. And I think we've got a clip, have we?
We have. Let's take a look at that now. This is Chris Fisher, the blind wood turner.
I'm totally blind. I'm black blind. I got into wood turning because I wanted a vampire stake. I'm a huge horror film fan, and I didn't just want to get a stick out the garden and whittle the end. So I listened to a lot of YouTube videos, and I amassed 600 hours of knowledge. 600 hours, bought a lathe, taught myself, and that was approximately 6 years ago. And that's culminated now in me being the only totally blind accredited wood turner, the first ever blind accredited wood turner. And after going blind, a year after going blind, I suffered with debilitating anxiety and panic attacks, hallucinations, nausea. So I know what a great part in getting in your shed and making things, what a great therapy that is for lots of people. What Men in Sheds does for a lot of people, it does exactly that. It gives them somewhere to go, somewhere where they can just get zoned into a project, forget about the rest of the worries that's going on in their life, and give themselves meaning and purpose again. I've been there at the thick end of that, and I know exactly what it's like. So as far as charities go, what Men in Sheds is trying to accomplish is it's right up there, getting people out, giving them something to do, making them have passion and pride in stuff they're making. It's great therapy, it's lots of fun, so I definitely suggest that as many people get in their sheds and join Men in Sheds and get making stuff. For me, blindness, it was difficult to overcome, and there's still huge challenges day by day, but if you just look at it as not the end, it's a different path, and just start along that path and enjoy every day, and never ever give up, keep on turning, as we like to say.
What a staggeringly positive, encouraging fellow.
He's absolutely fantastic. He really is. I mean, my one I put it in the comments then. It's why does he actually want a steak? I like Star Wars. I don't necessarily have a lightsaber. Maybe I do, but I've never been drawn to making a steak for myself. So
a vampire steak, yeah. Does it come with like a silver sauce or something?
yeah. It might be where he lives. It might be because of where he lives in Cheshire.
It could be, yeah.
Well, you have witches, don't you, in Guernsey? Do you have a witch seat in your shed?
We don't, no. But yes, witching is a Guernsey historical folklore thing, yeah.
So is it real?
Oh, yeah.
No. Back to Chris is amazing. He's a true inspiration. Honoured to know him, and also he's so humble. He talks about the the privilege of actually being our patron, and it's
Funny fella.
yeah. I mean, no, it's a fantastic cause and charity, but yeah, he really is quite humbled, and it's we were humbled because he said yes.
That's amazing. Very cool. Yeah. I know that session with Chris is going to be very popular in the Guernsey shed because we've got too many lathes in the shed in Guernsey. We got a really big one which we were given about a year ago, but it needed cleaning up and sorting out, and as we've been working on the shed, it's getting it organised, and back in December a couple of the guys were just starting to get the groove on and burnt the motor out. So that was a bit of a blow. And then another one of our shedders donated an old benchtop shed of his, and he was teaching someone how to use it in January and burnt the motor out. We've been given another similar one which has become a donor for that one. The motor hasn't burnt out yet, but the motor's gone in, and then lockdown happened, so our electrician Buff hasn't been able to wire it yet. But over lockdown we've been given another one which is sort of the MIDI size. So we've got too many lathes and a lot of interest. So with the benefit of that talk in a couple of weeks' time, I think our guys, as we're opening up the shed this Saturday publicly, because we can, I hasten to add, Guernsey has been without active cases, I think, for now 48 days.
That's amazing.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Our borders are still closed, but we're opening up. So yes, we opened up to a few members last week, and that was good to start getting things moving again. Wind up the kettle, find out that the urn is broken, that sort of stuff. But yeah, with Chris Fisher's talk in a few weeks' time, I think that's going to set a whole bunch of guys up to make some hamster bedding.
I mean, in fairness, though, you with people burning out the motors, you might need him down to give some lessons.
Yeah, there's a possibility. We were very close to saying, right, that's it, no more lathes. That's it. You can't be trusted.
Yeah, but
you can go back to using a handsaw.
They'll just break something else.
Something less expensive.
Yeah. Well, I've only blown up 2 motors recently on mine, so not on the lathe, just a jigsaw and my sander. But,
yes, the big one, we had to get the motor rewound because it's fairly specific. The machine's not made anymore. Manufacturer didn't want to know, so we had to get it rewound. There used to be a motor rewinder in Guernsey, but they no longer rewind. There's no one in Jersey, dare I say it, that they can't do it either. So we had to send it to Nottingham, I think it was.
That's near me.
Yeah. And we had awful problems with the shipping carrier. They sent it to Bristol, and it stayed there for about a fortnight, 3 weeks in Bristol.
Yeah, because that's not close. That's
no. So it was a bit of a debacle, but it is back, and our guys are itching to get it installed. Yeah. And it's one of these big scary ones where you can turn the entire headstock around.
Right, yeah.
And then turn something that's this big.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that happen, because when it comes off the chuck at 1,000 RPM, it'll roll its way through the double doors that divide the 2 sheds and give everyone a mighty fright.
Well, isn't that how they used to make bin lids in the olden days, using lathes like that? I think so, yeah. Everything was wooden.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day.
So what else is coming for ShedFest? What else we got using? Who's Mr. Vicentainer? Rob Vicentainer.
Rob Vicentainer. So Rob is the project manager for Men's Sheds Cymru.
Okay.
And so we're working very closely now with Men's Sheds Cymru. And so Rob's going to do the Tales from Wales. Really nice guy. His shed is the Squirrel's Nest, which is where he's from. And I think it's the first shed in Wales, the Squirrel's Nest.
Okay.
He's Italian heritage, but Welsh. So he likes his Italian food. But really nice guy, and he's a pleasure to work with as well. So
Great.
He's got a lot of tales about his shedders, as we all do.
Of course, yes. They're full of people, and where there's people, there's characters and stories.
So it's a fun, full-packed schedule, and hopefully we won't break many things, and and it will be educational and beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. Like I say, I can't normally get there, but I can because you're coming to me. So thanks for that. So that's ShedFest, 7th to the 9th of July. Block book that in your diaries so that you can book your spot on the sofa. No grandkids, as we've discussed. And it runs from either 10 till 1 or 10 till 2 each day. That's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And then there's an evening session from 7 till 8 p.m. I like the idea. You've spoken before about there's Chris Fisher was a after dinner speaker. Is that right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Last year. Well, if we're doing 7 till 8 sessions every day, we'll make that our dinner, and you can sit on the sofa with your dinner, and we'll that sounds nice.
Yeah, and free champagne for everyone as long as you buy it yourself.
BYOB, bring your own bottle.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Now, how can people find out more about ShedFest?
So we will be. It will be on the website. The newsletter had the flyer for the first time that came out this week, and we will be updating things on Twitter, on Facebook, but also on the website. And then there will be there'll be a series of emails that go out to everybody on that database, because we have over 4,000 on our main database. So we'll email out to those, and if you're a shedder in the shed and you're not connected directly through those, hopefully your shed leaders will disseminate that information to you as well. If you're not inundated on Twitter and the other things that we have, Instagram.
The database of which you speak, how can people join that to get the latest updates?
So if you want to receive the newsletter and get the latest updates, you simply go to our website, mensheds.org.uk, and sign up for the newsletter. And
Perfect.
So that's our main vehicle of communicating with people.
Okay, great.
So we're limited because we don't do the post, but it also means that we're lean and we're not spending thousands of pounds on postage and the time to post things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm in the background. I'm getting a message on Facebook Messenger from Ronnie. Hello, Ronnie. This comment really should go on the YouTube and Facebook because then we can publish it. But he says, what media will ShedFest be on? It's a critical question.
In terms of
how can people join us?
How can people join us?
Yeah.
So it will be broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube.
Cool.
And so YouTube, you do not have to join Facebook to do that. And I believe you don't have to actually sign up to YouTube to also get the channel. So if you're concerned or don't want to sign up to one of the mediums that we use, then YouTube's probably the way for you to do it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So people can just dive into YouTube off any iPad, smartphone, laptop, desktop, and probably even if you've got a smart TV that can access YouTube, you can probably do a search there for Men's Shed UK, I suppose. There'll be a YouTube channel there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We have our own channel as well on YouTube.
That's cool. So that will be the place to look at. And Ronnie's just chipping in saying, thank you. Thank you, Ronnie. You're welcome.
And Ronnie would also be able to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And much better than texting me. So yeah, do it online, Ronnie. If you're watching, do us a comment wherever you're watching from, if you can. Yes. And just as a by the by, just in my personal preference for watching some of these sorts of things is on my lounge TV, I've got one of those little Chromecast devices. I think I got it for about £20 or something like that, and it's hooked onto the Wi-Fi. But then from the phone or from the Chrome browser on the laptop, you can then look something up and then cast it straight to the telly. And that would be a perfect way of watching this. I think it's something we might do in the Guernsey shed, is we'll get the wireless broadband set up there, and then we'll put up a big screen so anyone can then go and shed together. But obviously that's because our Guernsey shed is open, but then they can all watch it on a said screen. But obviously in the comfort of your own living room, in your, just your underpants or whatever it is, you can stick it on the telly. So I recommend that, something like a Chromecast or an Apple TV or something. It's a nice way of watching without having to sit with a computer or peering at a phone or something like that.
Yeah, and if the grandchildren aren't there, then you don't have to watch Disney TV. So it's a good use of the Apple TV.
Yeah, for sure. The only good thing about Disney TV so far, we've just switched from Netflix personally, is that we get all the Star Wars, and I know that's up your street.
It is, yeah. That's just before lockdown. I managed to get an upgrade Apple TV so that I could watch Mandalorian and
oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and the others as well. So no, and clearly, watching Pocahontas and My Little Mermaid also is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many of these little things have you got?
I have 3 little things under 6 years old.
Wow.
And Tinkerbell is their favourite.
3 children, that's about 5 more than 2, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I can't do fractions. So yeah, one's 6, one's 4, and one's 3.
Congratulations.
So it's it comes with its own challenges.
Yeah, cool.
But great fun.
Yeah, cool. They're a blessing in the end.
Yeah, and I have an isolate when we have a smart home, and it's which allegedly smart home. It's only smart if you know how to use it. But my workshop turns itself off automatically as well, just in case little people find keys and find their way in there. So
that's clever. So when you say workshop, homework, what have you got in there?
Oh, well, it's just I have a bandsaw, a fret saw, broken saw. No, actually, I have to say that the supplier, not because of where I work, but they sent me a new motor. Very good service. It's a red one for those that may know them.
Go faster.
Yeah, yes. Not when I try and put a log on them. And I may be getting a small lathe donated to me shortly. So that will cause more damage to me in the workshop.
Yeah, for sure. And that will be a perfect excuse for your kids to get hamsters.
Yes,
because Daddy can make the bedding.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
I don't know that it is a good idea.
No, it's not. My wife isn't keen on animals. She never had them as a kid. So whereas I'm a corgi lover, but they don't need wood. No, just a crown.
So what do you like making? What are you into?
Well, at the moment I'm still doing DIY in the house, but my next project is it's an oak bench, but with a shoe racks underneath. So I've cut all the pieces. I've now got to do the sanding, which is why I've not moved on with that project for a few weeks or months. And then my one after that is scarecrows. We have a scarecrow festival here every year.
Okay, yeah.
I made Peter Rabbit, Lily Bobtail, and Mr. Fox a few years ago. Didn't finish in the top 6. Was most upset. So we moved house to somewhere that's more on the run now, and did the Queen last year with a moving hand. Didn't finish in the top 3. But my new plan is Lego people. So I'm going to make huge Lego people, and so this year it's heroes and villains. So there will be some of certain characters, just in case anybody from the. Yeah, I'm not going to say who I'm making, but I like Star Wars.
Sure, yeah.
And then I'm going to make 4 or 5 of these, and then next year, when the theme's different, I can just paint them in different colours.
Okay, so stick with the Lego and just
just keep changing who they are. And clearly, it's the kids who do it, not me, because
obviously, yeah.
So I just help with the sharp bits and the painting and the design and the making bit. Yeah. But so that's what my wife's not letting me do, but I am doing when she's not watching or listening.
Nudge, wink, wink, say no more. JP in the background just says, "Awesome."
Yeah. So I just got fed up of making different things each year. I just thought the Lego would be a way forward.
That's a good idea. Shrewd move. That's strategic thinking, that is.
Yeah, and I may also go around and vandalise my neighbours who always finish in the top 3.
Sure, okay. Yeah,
but I don't condone that. That's not the sort of thing that you should do. It's allowed in the street that I live in.
Lighter fluid.
Yeah. I'll kidnap it. I'll make some money out of it for charity.
Then they can't complain.
No, it's all for good. It's all for men's sheds.
That's what it is. Yeah. Muddy the great name of men's sheds. Well, Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you finally. Obviously, we've been talking on the phone and emails backwards and forwards about ShedFest and the technicals behind making that happen virtually. I'm really looking forward to it, both as a punter but also to be involved. I'm really excited about that. But then really great to hear what you do and what shedding means to you. Yeah,
no, thanks, Marcel, and thank you, for all you're doing with your shed and for SHEDcast, because it is fantastic, and it's great to see how sheds are doing so many different things, and SHEDcast is one of the jewels in the crown of the shed movement. So
yeah, smoke rings. I know.
No, and to JP in the background, who's doing a much better job than you are. So
enough said. Yeah. You don't need to stress that. He's even turned his camera off, so I can't bring him back in to embarrass him. JP, you got to turn your camera back on. Yeah, maybe. Oh, there he is, sneaking around in the background there. And we've got Leo. Leo's still in the stream in the background, but he's turned his camera off as well. Yeah, I don't know if he's still here, can hear us, but will he switch? We'll just have to sit with his avatar. Gentlemen, it's been a whole pile of fun. Leo, Charlie, JP, thank you for being part of this, and I can't wait for ShedFest. I am genuinely really excited. So everybody, ShedFest is the 7th, 8th and 9th of July, so not long now, and it's from 10 every morning till about 1 or 2, and then in the evening 7 till 8 p.m. for the evening dinner session. Is that Leo there?
Yes, I'm sort of here in the background. I've kind of been doing my work with you guys playing in the background.
Working, yeah, okay, yeah. Very good of you, very good.
Right.
Almost, yeah, you're looking a bit grey and pale and insipid.
Oh, right, sorry. Is that better?
You put a sock over the camera again, didn't you? Brilliant, Leo, thank you very much. And, well, we'll see you in a few weeks' time, if not before, for the ShedFest. I can't wait.
Cheers. Thank you, Marcel. Thanks, JP.
Cheers, chaps.
See ya. Bye.